here to take this opportunity wholeheartedly welcome you all on this auspicious occasion of Dean SPGS Endowment Lecture on Recent Trends in Horticulture by Dr. M.R. Dinesh, Director of Indian Institute of Horticultural Research, Bangalore.
Now it's time for Tamil Taiwan.
நீராறும் கடலுடுத்த நிலமடந்தை கெடிலொழுகும் சீராறும் மனதமென திகழ்வனத கண்டனில் தெக்கணமும் அதில் சிறந்த திராவிடனல் திருநாடும் தக்க சிறு திரை முதலும் தரித்தனரும் திலகமுமே அத்திலக வாசனை போல் அனைத்துலகும் இன்பமுற எத்திசையும் புகழ் மணக்க இருந்த பெரும் தமிழனங்கே தமிழனங்கே உன் சீரிழமை திறமியந்து செயல் மறந்து வாழ்த்துதுமே வாழ்த்துதுமே வாழ்த்துதுமே.
Dr. J. Rajagam, Professor and Head, Department of Food Science, to welcome the gathering.
Dean SPGS, Dean Horticulture, Scientist, then Professor and Head Plant Protection, students, good morning and warm welcome to all for the Endowment Lecture organized by Horticulture College and Research Institute Periyakulam and SPGS TNAU Coimbatore. So it is my great privilege to welcome our honorable guest, the eminent horticultural scientist, one of the prominent fruit crop breeder in India, the guest of the day, Dr. M.R. Dinesh, the Director HC&RI Bangalore, for the acceptance and grace the program for his valuable presence. Welcome you, sir. No doubt his lecture will be immensely useful for the scientists, particularly young minds of this institute, to develop their academic career and excellence in horticulture. Then I am happy to extend my warm welcome to outstanding entomologist, meticulous academic planner, the Dean SPGS TNAU Coimbatore. He has offered the program for the benefit of students' career development. Welcome, you, sir. I would like to express my delightful welcome to our beloved Dean, Horticulture College and Research Institute, Periyakulam. He is a man behind this program, guiding force and instrumental to the institute activities, all activities. So on behalf of all, I welcome our beloved Dean. And I express my sincere welcome also to our all HODs, scientists gathered here, and student friends for this unique function. So on behalf of the Dean, staff and students of HC&RI Periyakulam, once again I wholeheartedly welcome the guest of the day, Dr. M.R. Dinesh, IHR Bangalore, SPGS Dean, then one and all present here in this unique function. Thank you very much for given opportunity. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Dr. M.R. Dinesh, Director of IIHR. Next, I request Dr. Mutaya, Professor and Head of Department of Plant Protection, to present the bouquet to Dean SPGS Dr. J.S. Kennedy.
None of the functions in the university become complete without his class of words. Now I would like to call upon Dr. J.S. Kennedy, Dean SPGS TNAU Coimbatore, to share some few words.
Dr. Mutaya, heads of the departments, other faculty, student friends, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Yeah, I can say good morning to you now. Now, see, Dean School of Postgraduate Studies, from the funds, now we organize this sort of
endowment lecture from this year, because earlier the endowment lectures were there in individuals' names. So we have amalgamated all the funds together, and then we do organize this sort of endowment lectures. And our Honorable Vice Chancellor has insisted that at least one endowment lecture per year in it has to happen. And then we thought that this should not happen only in Coimbatore city, because it's not that the students at Coimbatore city alone are privileged, but everybody are privileged, and everybody now we like to have you also to develop into a full-fledged holistic personality than having a subjective knowledge here and there. So in this context now we organize this endowment lecture. So this year we have organized 12 lectures, and this is the 12th lecture. It's not only in different subjects. Starting from horticulture. In fact, we started this year with horticulture from Dr. Anand from Bangalore. He talked about fruits at Coimbatore, and subsequently we have been doing it not only in Coimbatore but also in Madurai, but also in Periyakulam and all those places. And also we would also invite people from other colleges also, so that they would come and then they get benefited out of this. So in this series, and this is the 12th lecture that we are organizing at Periyakulam, and what could be the better topic, or what could be the better the thing that to talk about? It's only about horticulture, and who would be the better person to talk about? It is only Dr. Dinesh, the eminent horticulture scholar. I do not know him much about him, but I heard a lot from him. That's our Honorable Vice Chancellor. He has very specifically to convey his very best regards to you, and also he said that he will have to take time and then look through online, because the whole lecture from last lecture onwards, everything it goes online, and he is looking at through the YouTube, and he said that he would love to be here, but unfortunately because of his other occupations, he is not able to be here. But let me come to the point. What's the current horticultural scenario in India, particularly in South India? When we talk about agriculture as a whole, horticulture it plays a major role over there. In fact, it is said that 33% of the total output, it is only from horticulture. And not only that, if you look at the Indian economy last year, everyone said that the economy is going down, the growth is very small. But in horticulture, the growth is a whooping 9.5%. Isn't that amazing? What happens really in horticulture? And that shows that the importance of horticulture in our country. Now, today, the growth of India's horticulture, it is recognized as a phenomenal, and it is phenomenal, and it is only second largest producer of fruits. Now, India is the second largest producer of fruits and also vegetables. And now India occupies a place of pride for the world production of many different crops. For example, if I said that the area under horticulture crop has increased 12.8 million hectare in 1991, it was there. But now it has come to 25.87 million hectares in India, and resulting into a cumulative increase of 99% during the past 28 years, the growth of horticulture. And also, if you look at the production, the total production of horticulture crops, it increased from 96.6 million metric ton in 2013 to 314.67 million tons in the current year. This registers a growth of nearly 225%. The area-wise also, horticulture crops, it has got a tremendous increase, and also the production also it has increased, and not only that, the productivity also in horticulture crop, it has increased by 62%, and there is still a large hope, big scope that the horticulture can still grow, and it can take the Indian economy move forward. When all the indicators then they were on the negative side, it is only the horticulture crops, and it has gone up by 9.5%. 9.5% is not a simple thing, but and Tamil Nadu, particularly the South India, the Dravidian states, we do play a major role over there. Now, among the fruits, India is the largest producer of banana. 26.2% of banana all over the world it is produced from India. and 41% of guava and mango are produced from India, and 16% of lime and lemon are produced from India, and 44% of papaya from India, and also India produces nearly 21% of grapes and 10% of citrus fruits and 15% of pineapple, and among the vegetables it is okra. 73% of the production happens in India, and 27% of brinjal, 11% of tomato, and cauliflower was introduced vegetable. Still, India we do produce 36% of cauliflower and 11% of cabbage are produced from India, and this because of that, India we registered an annual growth of 9.5%. Of that, 7% it comes from vegetables and rest from the fruits. And another thing, very important thing about the horticulture is that, see, we have a lot of wasteland, and it is the horticulture crops now, using of horticulture crops now, we make the efficient utilization of the wasteland. That happens because of the horticulture crops, and you are privileged that you want to dig deep into horticulture crops and you study well about the horticulture crops, and you are going to play a major role in our country for the growth and development. And not only that, most of the horticulture crops, they contain lots of vitamins, minerals, carbohydrates, and also they assume to have a greater importance in both for food and nutritional security, and as well as horticulture crops, they aid in production of certain pharmaceuticals also. But however, horticulture crops, it has got its own, something, still we are not able to go up to the potential that we do have. There are certain things now which we will have to think about. What best thing that we can think about it? That is something like, we will have, when we will talk about the horticulture crops, we will have to think about the production of quality planting material and hybrid seed production. Not only that, field gene bank for crop improvement, and root stock for problematic soils. Everywhere there's a major problem. Root stock, we don't have a proper documentation of the root stock for problematic soils and problematic regions, and canopy management and plant architectural engineering to increase the productivity. Yes, everybody nowadays, now we talk of high density planting. Now we will have to still dig deep into that, and input use efficiency and water budgeting for horticultural crops, and soil health management, integrated pest and disease management, and strategy to reduce post-harvest losses in horticultural crops. Post-harvest technology, when we say post-harvest technology, and I think that it is horticultural crops that play a major role, and there's a big scope for improving the post-harvest technology for the horticulture crops, and also secondary horticulture by having value-added products. Lot of scopes are there, and also the how to reach out the urban and peri-urban regions in horticulture, because most of the vegetables they are perishable, so we will have to produce just nearby the urban region or in the peri-urban region, and they have to be taken inside. So we'll have to think about that, and also precision horticulture. And nowadays, one of the things that we talk much about is the robotics. Robotics has got a major role to play in horticulture, because most of the arboreal system, it is very difficult to go in for plant protection. But in that case, the robotics like drones and other technologies, they can play a major role, and nanotechnology, that will also help for production of value-added products from horticulture and secondary horticulture. These are all the things I just enumerated, and I am very sure that our chief guest, the speaker, Dr. Dinesh, will enlighten us in this regard. Now, what I require from this sort of endowment lecture is that a spark in our mind, that we need to have, and this spark, it has to be lightened as a big fire. Now, when I was doing my schooling in Cathedral High School in Tirunelveli, the motto in that school was lighter to be lighter. That was the lighter to be lighter. Get yourself a spark, and so that you can lighten the whole world. So with that, let me say that get the spark from our speaker and get your light, and so that you can lighten, and then you can help in improving the economy of our country. Thank you very much for this opportunity. I do also welcome you all and get the spark for that.
Thank you, sir, for your precious and valuable words.
Now, I would like to call upon our beloved Dean, Dr. T. Armugam, to give the presidential address.
Good morning, Vanakkam. Our most respected and honorable, our friend Dr. M.R. Dinesh, Director, Indian University of Horticulture Research, and my friend and the Dean PGS, Dr. Kennedy, and Dr. Rajangam, Dr. Mutaya, and all HODs and staff members and PG and UG students of this college. Good morning to all of you. So this is another milestone in our campus. We continuously motivate our students by arranging different lectures, either in the walks of the personality development or coaching for higher studies, to motivate our students. The idea is to motivate. As Dr. Kennedy said, that lighten to be lightning, isn't it? So we have to here to lighten the young minds. So it is up to you to brighten yourself. We are here to lighten you. So glowing is your part. So now, coming to today's lecture is one of that kind. This is mainly focused on the horticulture development, horticulture research in India and the globe. So this is mainly to motivate all our PG students and also the final year students. We have, I think, unfortunately, they are also available here, and the second year students. So we have arranged this lecture with a great scientist and the food breeder in the country. So he is readily accepted our invitation to deliver his, sharing his experience. So this will motivate, definitely this will motivate you in to shaping your career in the future. Then coming to our friend Kennedy, he only offered me to have a PG endowment lecture at your campus. I immediately, we have arranged for everything, and he sponsored the entire program. Now, I think today we have 2 lectures, not one. Already one is done by our Dean BGS. He is elaborately covered the horticulture scenario. So you all know that I think they delivered a good lecture with a lot of data. India is proud. We have achieved so much of production and productivity in horticulture particularly. Though our agriculture productivity, the GDP is 3 or 3.5%. So to reach that 3%, horticulture is a major growth engine which contributed in the agriculture GDP. And of course, the total export of Indian agriculture, our horticulture crops contribute nearly 37% or so. So this is a major growth engine for the agriculture. So this is what we call the very lucrative industry. So we are training the students in various aspects of the production technology or the protection technology and the post-harvest. All these 3 areas we are concentrating. But still, how we achieve this target? It's a very Himalayan target we have achieved within a period of almost doubled within a period of 10 years. When we compare 2007 and 8, it is around 2,208 million metric tons. So at the time of another 10 years period, we have increased to another 100 million metric tons in the production. So this is a very huge jump in the production of horticulture. So that's why everybody is now talking about horticulture. So how we achieve, that is the biggest thing. So this is because of our sustained effort of our scientists. So we have to thank all the scientists who have contributed in this way, by way of varietal development, either fruits or vegetable, whatever it may be, and the technology they developed, and the other, the plant protection, all these things. So these only contributed nearly 30% of the total thing. Then rest, the mechanism, the machineries, the horticulture department or extension side, they contributed very much to take our technology to the field. So which then only we can, our technology can reach the farmers. The third segment is, and the most important thing is our farmers. Our farmers are very tirelessly working, and they are sustained effort and work. So we could achieve this much Himalayan task of 314 million metric tons in horticulture production. So these are the three people that really contributed this. And apart from this, government policies made a big change. See, I think many of the students, you may know that, the National Horticulture Mission was implemented in 2000, started implementing from 2004 onwards. So that made possible to implement all the technologies, all the innovations in horticulture, which all contributed, so this much growth. Okay? Now we achieved a height. So we have to sustain and we have to grow further. So for that, we need a lot of the scientists. We need lot of technical persons like you. So we are training you to, shoulder the responsibility of increasing the production and productivity in future. Okay? So that's why, we are always focusing on the future trend. For your job and other things, there are tremendous scope is available. So you need not worry about your job opportunity or career opportunity. There's wide opportunities are available. So only thing is you equip yourself with all techniques and tools and scientific knowledge, which this only going to help you in the future to they shoulder the responsibility. So in this regard, so we invited Dr. M.R. Dinesh, an eminent horticulturist from IHR Bangalore, to deliver a spectrum of horticulture research, development, and the future thrust in horticulture. I think I don't want to take much of his time, so I briefly introduce him. Mr. M.R. Dinesh is graduated from the UAS Bangalore. He did his BSc Horticulture, MSc Horticulture and PhD from the UAS Bangalore. Then after your PhD, he joined in the ARS system as S1 scientist in IHR Bangalore. Then he started his career as a scientist, particularly in the fruit breeding, because very few people take the fruit breeding program because it's a long-term problem. So it is very difficult to achieve the results within a period of another 10 years or 5 years or 10 years. It is very difficult though. So one has to have the patience to get a what they call the desired result, minimum of 20 years. So he has spent almost 3 to 3.5 decades in the horticulture breeding, and particularly he is well versed in the papaya breeding, guava breeding, mango breeding, and these are the major 3 fruit crops he spent his whole lifetime. And he has written so many books, and he has released so many 2 dioecious papaya varieties. One is Arca Surya, another one is Arca Prapat. These are 2 gynoecious. You know what is gynoecious? Okay. Then he has also released some of the mango varieties. One is the guava variety, Arca Mirdula. Then mango variety Arca Nilgren, and he has also released dual purpose guava variety, this Arca Grain, very famous variety. Now every farmer is after Arca Grain. It's a red flesh variety. And he has characterized almost 500 varieties of mango and he's released a compendium of details of 500 varieties of mango, which is a wide collection from India. Then he has published more than 100 research papers in the national and international journals and graded 7 MSc students and 5 PhD scholars. And of course, he has catalogued many books. And he has also written 2 books and contributed many chapters in the books. So he is a well-known horticulturist, and he is the fellow of Horticulture Society of India, and he has been conferred with several national and international awards. And he is a practical horticulture scientist, and he always take the technology to the farmers. So he wanted to see that whether the technology is working in the farmer's field or not. So he is a practical scientist and leader in foods. So now, on behalf of all the students, and behalf of Dean PGS, and behalf of our Honorable Vice Chancellor, and on behalf of all of you, I request Dr. Dinesh to deliver his endowment lecture. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for your
students, other staff members. First of all, thank you very much for having me here today. I am as part of the Research Advisory Council as well as earlier as a ASRP worker. I have always had very good opinion about this particular campus, especially with regard to the drumstick variety, which has made fantastic contribution in the art area. I was given the topic recent trends in horticulture. Actually, horticulture earlier was thought of as an option, probably in the early decades. About 20 years back, everybody thought that horticulture is only for as a hobby or as probably as an option for an agriculturist. But today it's no more an option. It has become more of a mandate to a farmer, to the researchers, to everybody in the line of stakeholders. Why is it so? It is precisely linked with the health and happiness. That is why it has become a mandate. It offers nutrition. It offers the security needs more than anything to the farmer. Many of these things I have listed here. One of the most important things I would like you to dwell upon is the crop diversification and wasteland utilization. Over the years, in both agricultural and horticultural crops, we have been fairly successful in touching the productivity, enhancing the production. Today we are able to feed about 130 crore population in India is precisely because of the research outcome what we have done in both agriculture as well as in horticulture. But what we need today is not exactly the increasing the production. Our research, we have to diversify it too. In fact, government had given us a mandate to increase our production. We did that. Government had given us a mandate to increase the productivity. We have done it successfully in many crops. Probably in some of the crops we have not done. In some of the crops where we have done, probably what we need to do is to bring in the wasteland utilization. That is to bring in the wasteland under cultivation. I think this is what we need. Probably this would not only enhance production, but would also give livelihood security to many of the farmers. Now, if you just take a look at the horticultural scenario, in every forum we are mainly being asked by many of the people. Virtually every journalist, every person in the country is talking about climate change. People have been telling me about climate change, this will happen, that will happen. But I don't know why exactly they are making it such a big issue. I say this with a confidence from the point of view of horticulture. Why? Because today we have, over the years, in spite of this climate change, we have been successful in producing about, now today the figures released during 1920 is that we have touched about 318 million tons in horticulture. That is, we have surpassed agriculture for the third successive year. I think if climate change were to be such a big problem, I don't think we would have achieved the kind of result that what we have achieved today. The fruit and vegetable availability per capita has increased from 397 grams in 2004-5. In a decade's time, probably we have touched about 540, which is a very healthy trend. The exports have increased by about 3 times, more than 3 times in 10 years. I think this very clearly shows that as far as research is concerned, as far as production is concerned, and as far as productivity is concerned, we are on the right track. If you take the fruits and vegetable scenario, today we have about 176.2 million tons of vegetables, and the average productivity is 17.11 million tons. I think there is a need for an improvement. Probably with the introduction of several new varieties, basically disease-resistant varieties, I think we should be in a position to do well in this sector in the days to come. The productivity of horticultural crops is much higher compared to the productivity of food grains, but I mean the kind of crops that we are growing, these annual crops, some of the perennial crops wherein we have recorded really very high production and productivity. One case in point is the grape varieties which we have been growing in, majority of them being grown in Maharashtra. We have already we are more than the world productivity average if you take the grapes. Now there are, I just scanned through the literature and over the years what we have done. What exactly in the horticultural sector is are our strengths, our weaknesses, our opportunities, what kind of opportunities we have and what are the threats we have. This is SWOT analysis that we conducted. And what is the strength of India in horticultural sector? One of the main strengths is that we have a fantastic varietal diversity. We have longer availability. Why? Because we have lot of climatic zones in the country. We have new hybrids coming in vegetables. We have new hybrids coming in right from plantation crops to everything. We have new hybrids. We have very good IPM packages. We have skilled manpower. The weakness has been mechanization has been a very big weakness that we have. Post-harvest handling, over the years it has improved. The IDM packages in some of the main crops, still it is wanting. Probably we need to improve upon this sector. Low productivity in some of the crops. Opportunities, plenty of opportunities, canopy management, flowering, value-added products. Then threats, climate change is always there. Although we have not, I made a statement that it has not been of a great effect on the impact on the horticultural sector. But what happens is that although production has not really gone down, the main threat is in the form of biotic and abiotic stresses. Probably we need to, every time we need to put in more effort to develop varieties resistant to new diseases and new pests. This is our challenge. I think this is the actual threat of chemical climate change. Now, what are the future challenges? India is one of the high risk of natural disasters directly affecting the crop cultivation. This is one of the reasons why we are making out climate change as a big threat to us. Emerging biotic and abiotic stresses, natural resource depletion and degradation, pathogen diversity across the country is increasing, pesticide residues and food safety. About 240 formulations regarding in India we have got. Then the threat of spurious chemicals, unorganized marketing sector, biosecurity and quarantine, post-harvest issues, as I said, is always there. Market management has been one of the problems. How exactly it happens? Water is becoming scarce in many places. Drought is more frequent. Cyclonic storms are there. Hailstorms are there. Now, other major challenges. One is the spurious chemicals, as I said, has always been a problem, continued to be a problem. Unorganized marketing chain, has been sorted out in some of the crops through FPOs, through cooperative farming. It has been sorted out. Still there are problems in some of the crops. Security and quarantine. We are one of those countries who pay very less attention to quarantine. I think all the pathologists and entomologists here would sure agree with me that it is many of these diseases and pests which have come to India is because of the poor quarantine what we have today. Now, some of the emerging biotic stresses as national challenges, as I see, please excuse me because I have basically been from an institute which deals only with vegetables, fruits and medicinal crops. I have taken only fruits and vegetables as the main topic. A few of the problems are there. Tosco virus in tomato, which in fact I am happy to share with you that today there are the multinational seed companies who are working on this aspect of Tosco virus, and about 32 multinational seed companies have joined or going to join hands with the Indian Institute of Horticultural Research in conducting trials on Tosco virus in the case of tomato. Pomegranate blight has been one of the problems. To an extent we have sorted it out. Some of the problems, aphids as carriers of virus, especially with regard to papaya ring spot virus in papaya and many others. Eggplant, fruit and shoot borer, it's a problem. Then papaya ring spot virus, till now we have not had any solutions. One of the constraints with regard to mechanization, I said mechanization has been one of the problems. The problem is because of the status of mechanization today. About 30 to 40% of field operations only we have mechanized. Only about 40,000 tractors are added every year. About 50 agri-machinery and manufacturers and dealers are there today in India. Subsidy schemes are there for mechanization. The main constraint has been about 4.4% reduction in number of farmers in India today. Labor scarcity and costly laborers. These are some of the issues that we need to sort out with regard to mechanization. I was told recently when we conducted the National Horticulture Fair that the tractor industry in the previous year of 19 to 20, it had a loss of about 10% during the last year. So probably we need to look at more intensely in this particular sector, precisely because there is a need to introduce small-time machineries which our farmers can afford. Although we have had this custom hiring centers now put up in various places, still we believe that there is small-time machineries are very much needed now. Now, having seen the constraints, having seen the scenario of horticulture, what exactly is the Indian advantage? It is not all that gloomy that we are trying to paint a picture, but what exactly is the Indian advantage? What advantage we have compared to other countries? One is we are bestowed with a lot of tropical, subtropical, temperate climate, advantage of growing all types of horticultural crops with a fantastic diversity. Second largest arable land we have, largest land area under irrigation in the world we have. Although rainfall still accounts for about 2/3 source of water, that is understandable because there are a lot of perennial crops that are being grown today in India. Increasing trend of micro irrigation. This is one of the very, very plus points that has emerged in the past 2 decades in India. Now, if you come to fruits, in fact, somewhere down the line, every researcher feels today in India is that we have not really exploited our diversity to the extent that we should have exploited. These fruits are gifts of diversity and results of not systematic breeding. Systematic breeding only started during the 1960s. Then later on, still more systematic it became during the 70s. But basically, many farmers contributed to fruit breeding because they selected the varieties, and today what we are seeing, many of the commercial varieties in many of the important crops like mango, these are all farmer selection. Then another very important thing what we have to do now is to rediscover land resources. we have over a number of years, due to our failure to link up the genetic resources to the farmer livelihood, what has happened is we are quite successful. India as a nation is quite successful in destroying our diversity. Our biodiversity, we are quite successful in destroying it. Why? Because we have never linked this biodiversity with the economic viability of the farmer. Unless a farmer diversity is linked with the livelihood security, there is always a tendency to destroy the biodiversity, because it is the need of the hour for him. So what has happened is local land races, they constitute a very, very valuable genetic pool, be it in vegetable crops, be it in fruit crops, be it in other agricultural crops. Today, I think every breeder realizes the importance of wild species today in our breeding program. To harness genes which are resistant to several diseases, be it biotic or abiotic, one of the main source of genes is the wild species, which as I said, we have destroyed in many cases. But the time is right now to conserve these so that these genes can be harnessed. There are many propagators of ideas who directly say that these local varieties will have to be directly put into the market. I am a bit against it. Why? Because the yield levels that we record in some of the improved varieties is not there in these wild types. So what we need to do intelligently is to combine the traditional knowledge with the modern scientific knowledge. The traditional knowledge in locating the diverse good wild species, take it out and then improve it, put those genes into the already improved varieties, so that a kind of gene pyramiding happens and a very viable and good variety comes out. This is what we need to do when I say that we need to exploit this genetic diversity. For example, there are many examples. If you go through the literature, of late I located in few of the works that was carried out in Spain, in some of the European countries, wherein they are going back to utilizing these wild species in their breeding program, be it in carrot, be it in okra, be it in many of the other tomato. They are now trying to do a lot of surveying, locate the wild types, use it in the breeding program. This has happened in many cases. These are some of the examples that I have quoted here. Very recent ones in Greece, with regard to some of the varieties of okra that I have seen here. With regard to harvesting of fruits at small sizes, increases the nutritional value in case of this okra. Again, one more work in Spain with regard to two tomato land races, high adaptability of these land races, and then again in the case of tomato in Europe again. These are the kind of works which we need to now start in India in many of the horticultural crops. Now, I said that the genetic conservation of gene pool is a must. Why they are a must is because these genetic resources are the building blocks of crop improvement. I see a trend in the youngsters, especially when we get a lot of PhD and MSc students in the institute. Generally, when we have the students, when we ask the students in which area you like, many of them 85 to 90% they say that they like biotechnology. They straight away go to markers. They straight away go to SNP based marker system. They tell me that we have to do biotechnological work only, transgenic only they want. I mean, why I am telling this is, without understanding the basic breeding and genetics, you cannot be a successful biotechnologist. First thing, nothing to do, I am not blaming the science of biotechnology as such. I am only trying to impress upon you that biotechnology as such cannot be adopted for crop improvement. It's only a tool with the breeder. Breeder can use biotechnology, hasten the program in perennial crop, especially in the perennial crop breeding, and he can come out with successful varieties. So those of you who wish to do programs in biotechnology, My advice is that probably you need to understand plant breeding and genetics a bit, so that you understand the basics of it. Then try to apply your marker work or whatever work you are trying to do in biotechnology, so that you can come out with very good varieties. In fact, in many of the breeding programs that we have in the institute, we work on about 54 horticultural crops. We have made it a point that every plant breeder should be associated with the biotechnological project work. So this has really helped us in coming out with very good varieties in tomato, good varieties in capsicum, good varieties in chilies. So my advice to youngsters is that probably you need to take a lot of coursework. You have to do a lot of coursework in plant breeding. We have come out. We have a very good block of gene pool. We have molecular characterization done for many of these crops. We have in tomato, we have in chilies, we have in brinjal, we have in guava, we have in mango, we have in papaya, we have in custard apple. We have done a lot of diversity, survey of biodiversity, and we have come out with very good germplasm, and today our conservation is around 9,500 in horticultural crops. Now another very important aspect in the case of fruit breeding or vegetable breeding, I told you that wild species are the source of very good genes. When I said wild species are very good genes, there is also a problem in using wild species. The first problem is the incompatibility problem. In all the cases, you will not be able to cross it with the existing cultivated types. This we need to overcome through many methods. There are many methods which we can overcome it in some cases. In many of the cases, we have overcome. In the case of papaya, we have carried out intergeneric hybridization. Using sucrose, we have broken the incompatibility crossing barrier. I think that work has also been done in TNU Coimbatore in the early 80s or early 90s they have done. Probably this kind of a work we have also done. Now why I have chosen this slide precisely is that all the wild species I said they cannot be crossed. The second thing is many of the wild species do not come to flowering at the same time with the existing commercially cultivated varieties which you want to improve. So without the synchronization in flowering, you cannot take up crossing work in these crops. So for that to happen, you need to have very good conservation of pollen conservation you should have, so that you can cryopreserve it. Then you can either do medium or you can do long-term storage. Use the pollen. In fact, pollen exchange between the countries has become a reality today. Why? Because there are many species which do not come up here in your region. Means you can always rely on, you can indent your pollen through National Bureau of Plant Genetic Resources, get those pollen, and then you can use it in the crossing program to come out with good varieties. I mean, this is the kind of thing that is going on today in India and other countries, especially with regard to the pollen exchange. No more people are talking about plant material exchange. It is the pollen exchange that is happening, and that is going to happen, which would have a very good future. Now, what are the breeding priorities? Earlier there was a priority of yield only. Now we have changed over to many other things like high density. We are trying to concentrate on coming out with genotypes. There are two things. One is either saturate your production practices. I think Dr. Kennedy was mentioning about canopy management, canopy architectural engineering. That is one of the ways. But what we feel today is the modern trend is to come out with genotypes which are suitable, which are amenable for high density planting. So what we need to do is that we need to intensify the work in some of the areas. For example, the exploitation of polyhydrony, so that uniformity of root stock can always be brought in. Then need to widen genetic base, exploitation of wild species, embryo rescue. We have to embryo rescue is one of the age-old method which we need to revisit. probably tissue culture need to be again revisited in many of the crops. We claim that we have done lot of work. Except for banana, I don't see much of a revolution happening with regard to tissue culture except in ornamental crops. I don't see in the real problematic crops any headway being made in as far as tissue culture is concerned. One point I have made here is the pre-selection indices. See, pre-selection indices, many times I have been, during the course of the lecture, many of the breeders, agricultural breeders, they keep telling me that many of the fruit varieties are a failure. Well, they are a failure in certain cases, thank you. They are a failure in many cases, no doubt. But what we have to understand that these are all perennial crop breeding. These are all fruits which take long time. So what is the way out? One is, as I said, use of markers in the nursery stage itself to cut out unnecessary progeny. Another is the discarding the varieties or hybrids which we have today as useless ones. Why I say this is because when you have developed a variety after breeding for about 10 years and ultimately it gets rejected by the farmer, don't throw it. Why? Because already you have a set of genes in that particular genotype, already desired genes are there in that. Maybe one or two are not there, that is why it has become a failure. So this can form as a basic material and you can use it as a pre-breeding line. Pre-breeding is a must in any plant breeding programs today. World over, every plant breeder in both temperate fruit crops, in perennial crop breeding, even in the annual crop breeding, there is a kind of pre-breeding programs that is happening. So please don't throw your discarded hybrid material because that's also very, very important. Now, what are the breeding strategies? Actually, I said diversity studies. See, I see many of the PhD theses often. A lot of PhD theses come to us, and I have the habit of just reading the summary of it, if not the entire thing because of the time constraint. I keep seeing Watt's diagram in that. Everyone puts a Watt's diagram. They do the diversity analysis. And they say this species is not related to that, that is not related to that. It's a very theoretical conclusion that they are drawing. What actually, I have never seen of late a thesis coming out with diversity studies using D-square analysis. This was a age-old statistical method which was very, very authentic. And even today it is authentic. If you see some of the international papers in plant breeding, you would notice that these D-square statistics is a very, very good parameter in studying the diversity. Somehow it is not happening. I think I would request the faculty also to see that the major PhD and MSc students who work on plant breeding should do this diversity statistics. Another latest phenomena that has happened the world over, especially promoted by the Biodiversity International, which is based in Rome, is that we have to promote on-farm conservation diversity. See, India is a country, I said, which is very, very rich in biodiversity. So what we need to do is, either we have neglected the on-farm conservation in the farmer's field. Several farmers are having several seedlings. Only one example I would like to give it to you is, I was part of a Biodiversity International program funded by the United Nations Environment Program about 5 years back. This was a program wherein 5 countries participated, and India was one of the countries which we worked on Garcinia, mango and jackfruit. Pomelo. In the case of mangoes, in which I was working as part of this project, was that we tried to promote on-farm conservation of diversity. You find if you go to some of the Western Ghats and to the diversity centers of mango in India, there are about 7 diversity centers of mango in India today. starting from northeast to Western Ghat, foothills of Western Ghat. In these areas, what has happened is there are plenty of varieties which are lying in the farmer's backyard, in his orchard, as naughty varieties or indigenous varieties. They are of excellent quality. If you do the biochemical profiling, you would notice that it is rich in lot of vitamins and nutrients. We undertook a study in the Western Ghats in the district of Shivamogga in Karnataka, wherein there is a huge industry of pickling mangoes, immature pickling mangoes, which are very unique to this place. And we were able to conserve about 280 types there. Why I am saying this is, in Chittoor also we took the same step, and then we linked the diversity of mango diversity of Chittoor. We tried to export it to Netherlands as Chittoor diversity mango in boxes under this project, and it was very well received. What I am trying to tell you is that these indigenous varieties are also equally important. If you can link it up with the livelihood security of the farmer will not cut it. Because in Chittoor area of mango, there are about 60 processing industries who are doing only processing of Totapuri mango. With that, the farmer virtually, there were many farmers who have cut down the native indigenous excellent types. Because they wanted money, they went off planting Totapuri mango. So now this Totapuri variety is everywhere. Not indigenous varieties are very, very few, but excellent varieties. What we did was we gave them the incentive to make boxes. Then we asked them to sell it on the highways, because this particular region lies between Bangalore and Tirupati. Lot of pilgrims, they go from Bangalore or other parts via this highway. So we asked them to sell these indigenous types in boxes, and we were very, very successful, and we could prevent cutting down of this native indigenous varieties, because there were not many people who started buying this. So today there are many varieties thriving there. So what I am trying to tell you is that this on-farm conservation in the farmer's field, if we give some incentive, we can always do it. I will also quote more examples later. Then we can recognize them as custodian of genetic diversity. We can record the traditional knowledge. See, somehow there is a peculiar feeling in the researcher's mind that if there are traditional practices, they are unscientific. No, what we need to do is record those practices. Let us try to impose the scientific knowledge on the traditional practices to see how we can blend it and ultimately make it more useful for the farmer. Probably that has to happen, and this we have tried in many of the crops, and especially in mango and jackfruit we have tried, and we have been successful. All the other things are there, like introduction, all these things. But my only emphasis is that there is a need to revisit, our researchers especially should do a lot of work on mutation. Today in China, if you take China agricultural research system, there are not many varieties which are getting released, especially in the fruits and some of the vegetable crops. Through mutation, they have come up with fantastic varieties. I think it is time that we revisit ourselves to take up a lot of work through students in the field of mutation. Now actually the potential of F1 hybrids and rootstocks, we have been tapping hybrid vigor now. In fact, in the case of some of the examples I have quoted here, probably all of you would have seen some of these examples. Both rootstock breeding as well as hybrid ones have changed the pattern of vegetable growing today in India, including the commercial sector of hybrid seed production has gone to totally very high scale in India, and today world over everybody recognizes India as one of the hot spots for hybrid seed production in vegetables. Pre-breeding, this is what I was trying to tell you. Linking the genetic resources and the breeding program is a must today. Be it chili leaf vine mosaic virus or papaya ring spot virus, there is a need to link genetic resources and breeding programs very efficiently. Wild species are there here, early domestication, and then modern types have come from that. Now we need to link these both, because during the course of domestication we would have lost several genes from these wild types. Probably if we can pull few more, if we can pyramid few more genes from this to here, I think we should be very successful. These days there are also, I think in the future slides I will discuss about it, there are many incidences wherein this kind of a work has happened. Probably some of the traits I have listed out here in case of papaya PRSV, late blight in case of groundnut bud necrosis virus has been one of the biggest problems in watermelon today. Then okra we have YBMV, although we have several lines which are resistant to it. Over the years the resistance has been broken down because of the nematode incidents that we have in potato also we have been facing problems. Then marker assisted breeding. I think marker assisted breeding is here to stay. To accelerate the phenotypic selection. Hitherto we were relying on morphological markers, but those days are gone. We have crossed the level of SNPs now. In fact, SNPs are the thing wherein we are relying heavily on SNP markers, but still somewhere down the line, sometimes I feel that there is a need for more repeatability in the case of SNPs also, because many a times I get the information that they are not stable. I don't know what is happening exactly. Now is the time when we have to connect both phenomics and genomics. We at IHR, if any of you want to use the facility of phenomics, we have phenomic facility at IHR. You can very well use it. Any breeder, anybody, physiologist, if they want to use, they can use it. We have phenomic facility. We have the state-of-art genomic facility also. Please use it. Genotyping of fruit crops of late has happened in many of these crops. In fact, in genome size has also been given. Now is the time for, in fact, we have started mango genome project. We are part of the consortium of mango genome project at IHR. In fact, Indian Agricultural Research Institute, New Delhi is also working on it. We probably in the days to come, we should be in a position to give the mango genome sequence. There are several plant hormones, related genes for dwarfing we have identified. This is very important. See, identification, many times I see that students and others, without even knowing the genes, they start doing marker work. Somehow as a plant breeder, I have never been able to understand how these biotechnologists are doing this. It's a puzzle for me, in fact. I keep asking our biotechnologists the same question again and again. I have not got actually answers for that. However, there is a need now. There have been extensive work going on today. Several varieties, several genes have already been identified, especially in the case of apple. We propose to do it in some of the perennial crops as well. I think we can make use of all these genes. Then transgenic and cisgenic. These are very debated topics. Transgenics has always been a debated topic. But there is a way out. See, a politician or a policy maker, to convince him about transgenic has always been a problem for us as a faculty, as professionals. It has always been a problem. So what we can always do is we can adopt cisgenic approach. In fact, I don't know why the institutes and universities are not giving problems to students on cisgenics. See, cisgenics is totally different from transgenic. And we can always tell people that we are taking genes from the related species. So we are not taking genes from fish or some other thing. So that we can convince them. It has already happened in apple, it has already happened in potato. Why not we use it on other crops? I think we need to pay more attention. In fact, in strawberry recently I saw that one work they have come out with one good resistant type. I think probably disease resistant breeding. We need to do this cisgenics, because as I said again, white species are the source of these genes. Then double haploid. Of course, this we have also started doing it now in many of the crops like Solanaceae, Cucurbitaceae, Brassica, others also we have started. In fruits, in pomegranate we have started. Probably there is a scope for it. Let us try to do as much as possible. Already in the private seed companies have come out with lines, double haploids. In the case of sorghum they have come out. So why not we do it in others? This is one short way of making good improvement in a short time. So we need to have this kind of projects, and this is going on world over. We need to pay a lot of attention for double haploids so that we can come out with very good varieties. Then one of the latest works in 2019, there is a paper published. After 2008, there was one paper published in 2010 by Campbell et al. From the mango breeding program of Hawaii. What they have done is they have used these volatiles as markers for volatile markers for for selecting the progenies in the F1 hybrids. You know that F1 hybridization in mango is always a problem with the kind of recovery that we make. Out of 10,000 crosses, we get about 10 hybrids ultimately. So when we build up sufficient population, we have to wait till the fruit of the progeny to bear fruit. That takes about 10 years, and then evaluate it and then say it is good or it is bad. So to avoid that, volatiles have come in very, very handy. This is a cheap marker which can be used for really selecting both the parents as well as the progeny. Even the parentage in the case of progenies which we do not know, that is outcrossed progenies or half-siblings, wherein only the female parent is known but the male parent is not known. In such cases, probably we can use this volatile marker. And now in mango at our institute, we are also successfully using it whenever we use a polyembryonic variety as a male parent. In fact, we have isolated about both the monoterpenes and sesquiterpenes we have got in some of the varieties, progenies of mango, which we are further trying to improve upon. Now, one of the works what we have done is in the case of there is a variety in the foothills of Western Ghats in Karnataka, which are used for whole-fruited pickles, wherein they don't use oil at all for this pickle, and they store it for about 10 to 15 years. These pickles at the house in the household of the farmer. So we wanted to find out what exactly is involved in this kind of a preservation without oil. When we went for the survey, we found that the farmer has got there is a market where the market is now worth about 120 crores today. Each immature fruit is sold for about 10 to 20 rupees. This is the kind of market they have. Pickling industries have come. They are exporting it to some of the Middle East countries as well as to US. So this is called as Appamedi in Karnataka, which says that it is a immature fruit. So when we went to the market, we asked the farmers how much this particular variety, if you make pickle, how long it would last. Somebody said it would last for 5 years. It's a plenty of diversity is there for these varieties. What has happened is farmers in their the traders in their eagerness to make money, when they harvest the fruit, they cut off the branch. So several varieties have already been lost. Now we have preserved about 280 varieties in our institute. So the farmer said the sap of the immature fruit, if we burn with the burn, the longer the burning, he correlates with the duration of the shelf life of the pickle. Then we brought back these varieties, we tested them, and then we worked out, we did the biochemical profiling. The biochemical profiling showed that lot of terpenoids are involved. Why I am saying this? This is one of the examples of how traditional knowledge can be supplemented with scientific approach to select varieties. So this is what happened. We did in the lab this kind of a work, and ultimately whatever the farmers had decided with regard to the shelf life of different varieties in this immature pickle varieties was exactly the same as our scientific approach what we did. So this is the kind of outcomes, this is the kind of approach we need to adopt. We should not disc everything that is traditional. Probably we need to look out with an open eye to see how best we can make use of it. Another approach what we have of recent, everywhere it has been done. I think I'm told by Dr. Armugam that you are also doing it here. In fact, what we have done is seed village concept. The farmer, a farmer who grows about 1 acre of vegetable, if he grows French bean for about 45 days, he will get about 40,000, 40 to 60,000. But if you can promote your variety, see there is an approach now. There is a policy makers feel that many of the public sector undertakings are not really pushing their varieties into the market, and our market share is very, very less. Why it happens is that we do not have the vibrant extension system that a private company has. They adopt a lot of ways and means to promote their product. Although all their varieties have the genetic background of our own public research, still government feels that we are not in the market as such. So what we have done now is we have taken up to this approach of seed village. If a farmer grows French bean in 1 acre and gets about 40,000 to 60,000, through seed production he can get about 1,40,000. For me, my institute variety gets multiplied in large quantities. I can push this variety to different parts because hitherto the problem was production. Now production is satisfied so that I can push it to different markets. In fact, last year from the institute we have taken up about roughly 600 demonstration trials in 7 states of Northeast, starting from Assam to Arunachal Pradesh. We have been successful in producing the seeds, and today the Syngenta company vegetable seeds have been replaced by Indian Institute of Horticultural Research vegetable seeds. So the director of horticulture of Manipur comes down directly to Bangalore to purchase the seeds from us. So this is the kind of intervention we have made. The seed production, which was about 5 tons, today we are at 20 tons. So I think we, both as university or institute, we need to have this kind of an approach. Another approach what we have done is we have extended it to nursery men also. When we release a variety, we give we have a system called Institute Technology Management Unit, which takes care of the commercialization of our products. This licenses it to the nurserymen, and we buy back the grafts from them. So our production gets increased, other farmers get quality planting material, and the farmer who has taken the technology also gets benefit. A nurseryman from Vijayawada has already got about 70 to 80 lakhs in 2 years. So this is the kind of intervention we need to make now to push our varieties. And this is the seed village concept again. We have carried out in about 4 to 5 clusters in Karnataka. We wish and hope to expand into some of the states like Bihar, to Tamil Nadu. In fact, we have one gentleman from Tamil Nadu nursery. He has come and taken our technology. We wish and hope that we should be able to help him out also in the next year. Likewise, we are planning. If you come to the production practices, I think many things I have listed out, right from quality seeds, integrated pest management to urban and peri-urban horticulture. Now, some of the major technological interventions that has happened or that has fueled the growth are some of these things which over a few decades has happened, and probably we need to look in more precisely because protected cultivation we promoted. Lot of farmers are having problems with the protected cultivation. We have solved many of them. I think in the days to come we should be in a position to do it. We have to extend the tissue culture protocols for many of the things. Till now we don't have in papaya, probably we need to extend it. It would help us a lot. This is the requirement of planting material. So no nurseryman will go to loss because the planting material requirement is so huge in India. Of late, what we have done is one of the technological interventions that we have made in the case of Neipu and banana. is the embryonic cell suspension culture which we have developed for mass multiplication of banana. This technology also we are going to commercialize it in the future, so that not only GNI, even NAPOs can be commercially propagated. If anybody is interested, they can take this technology also. Then some of the new paradigms what we have been working on, what world over people have been doing is with regard to some of the production practices, then the molecular breeding, which is altogether a totally different topic which would take a lot of time, so I have just listed it out here. Then another one of the most important things that has happened world over is with regard to the pollinator management. We have suddenly woken up to the fact that like biodiversity, we have destroyed several other insect population also. So those are the crops which were there was no problem in production. Now we are getting into problem because of the pollinator management. So we have started to work on pollinator management. Many in the world have started. Israel, in fact, they are one of the leaders in pollination management. I think Dr. Kennedy would be able to give more information on this. We have also started it. We have found that under protected cultivation, whenever we take up muskmelon growing, with just a honeybee box, we can get very good crop of muskmelon inside the polyhouse using our honeybees. Here I have listed not only honeybees, maybe there are other pollinators which are getting destroyed because of our mismanagement of chemicals. Probably we need to look into it. Already there is a network project from Indian Council of Agricultural Research which is happening, including many institutes wherein this pollinator management is being looked into. High density planting, I think everywhere everybody is talking about high density planting. Right from, in fact, we have started one program at one of our substations in Bhubaneswar, wherein we are trying to have this mango trained on a Y-shaped training system, trellis-like Y-shaped training system. This is in one of the varieties called Neelachal Kesari, which is from that region, from Bhubaneswar. We have done it successfully, and now we are propagating it for the farmers to take it up. Then protected cultivation, you know about aeroponics, you have seen hydroponics. Under the peri-urban and urban horticulture, we are always bombarded with questions saying that why don't you go in for aeroponics and hydroponics. Now we are a bit careful in the sense that now we are trying to biochemically profile the material, especially the leafy vegetables which come out of this hydroponics and other hydroponics, to see whether they have got the same kind of biochemical, when we do the biochemical profiling, whether they have got the same kind of nutrients, even though we are using the same varieties, whether those that are grown under this nutrition management and our soil, whether they have the same, because too much is being spoken about. I don't know how much it is necessary for India, but still to validate ourselves and see how best we can derive conclusion out of it, we are trying to do in some of the crops. Although enormous yield increase has been reported. One of the latest things which we have copied from Southeast nations. In fact, if you happen to visit Indonesia, Thailand, Korea, Vietnam, you see that many of the vegetable crops have got rootstocks. In India, we have started it a bit late, but we have today come up with one rootstock in the case of tomato, a brinjal rootstock, interspecific hybrid brinjal rootstock, which can stand waterlogging for about 6 days. We also have come out with a rootstock for chilies. We have come out with a rootstock for tomato which can stand drought for about 7 to 10 days under above 38 to 42 degrees Celsius temperature. So these are the things happening. We have got photoinsensitive varieties in beans now, Arka Prasiddhi and Bhavani. Probably in the days to come, many more varieties are in the pipeline. We have demonstrated it in the National Horticultural Fair recently held with regard to the rootstocks that we have got. And now slowly people are picking up these rootstocks. This is the phenomic facility we have at the institute. Any one of you are most welcome to use it. Then novel pest management methods. I think I am a novice in front of Dr. Kennedy to speak about it, but still I have listed out here the sterile mail technique for melon fruit fly. I was told, I am not very sure. In recently Korea or Israel, I am not very clear about it. They have released this genetically modified moths. I am not very sure with regard to which one. Israel, yeah. They have released, and I also posed a question to one of the scientists when we had the last Pathology International Conference at IHR. What would happen to the insect release if it mutates? Well, that threat is always there. Probably we need to, that's why I am not discouraging the science as such, but our emphasis should be more on resistance, disease resistance breeding, as well as this kind of a technology, so that supplementation can happen from both these sides, so that new technologies can come out. In fact, for tomato tuta absoluta, which is one of the serious pests now slowly increasing, our scientists have come out with a light trap, a very simple light trap, which can trap the tuta. And both one Dr. Sridhar and Dr. Senthil Kumar, they have designed the trap, as well as it's a very simple light trap which can take care of the tuta absoluta. Of course, chiromones is one of the aspects. One Dr. Jayanti, who is the national fellow, she is working on it. Mechanized cultivation, I told you about the mechanized cultivation. I think these are the need of the hour. We don't have a simple grafting machine, which we imported one from the European country, and ultimately we found that it doesn't suit our needs. So our engineers are modifying it. Let us see how best in the days to come. Probably they said they told me about that in about 3 to 4 months they will release one machine. One of the another most important aspect of horticulture, which is being discussed in the international forum, is with regard to pollution mitigation through horticulture. I think this is one of the in things in horticulture that we need to look into. In fact, the Karnataka Biodiversity Authority has given us a project to see the pollution management with regard to different tree species. We have successfully said that a mango orchard from our NICRA project, we have exactly given the details as to how much oxygen it can put into the atmosphere, what is the kind of unit, which was very well appreciated. A canopy of 110-year-old trees can sequester about 1 ton of carbon each year. This is the kind of interventions that is happening. Only thing is we need to identify definite varieties and species. We have done it at the species level, probably at the varieties level, no one has done. I think our agricultural universities and the institute should concentrate on this work as a major one in the days to come. This is our institute trademark. We have released about 289 varieties. It may not be of much importance, but I thought let me give this information. One of the biopesticides we have sold it to about 400 companies today. We have neem and Pogavia stove. We have one microbial consortia, Akka Microbial Consortia. It's a group of soil microbes which has done very well in the national market. This particular consortia, both in liquid and solid form, it is there. It has taken care of many of the wilt diseases in pomegranate, blight in pomegranate, and then wilt in pepper. This is the commercial technology commercialization we have done from the institute. This is the indigenous one. I told you that we need to link up the biodiversity to the livelihood. This we have done in the case of jackfruit variety Sidhu. We went for surveying. We found one very good variety in the backyard of the farmer. He was earning about 7,000 to 8,000 rupees per year by selling the fruits. This is a coppery red flakes variety which has got higher lycopene content. So he was earning about 7,000 to 8,000 rupees. We did an MOU with him. We did the chemical profiling, told him that it is very, very important. And this particular variety now, we went into an MOU saying that we will help him graft the variety. We taught him grafting also. Then we told him through the MOU, every plant sold, 75% would go to his account and 25% would come to the institute. So likewise today the farmer, after 2 years of handholding, is realizing about 7 to 8 lakh rupees per year from the propagation alone only. So the man who was ready, almost ready to cut it, today he has conserved it. So this is the kind of interventions every one of us will have to make, and we have identified him as custodian of genetic diversity. And these are some of the important issues I thought I would place it before you. Volatiles as biochemical markers has happened in many, even in the vegetable crops. Rootstocks for abiotic stress, we are seriously lacking. Resistance breeding is a must. Marker-assisted selection to supplement phenotypic selections, gene pyramiding, assembling desirable genes from many sources. This is the variety Sidhu Jack. He is the farmer whom we have helped, and this is the kind of profiling we did. Now the income has risen to about 8 lakhs. In fact, he sells the plant material to us. Robotics in horticulture, yes, we are at the infancy, probably there is a great scope. We at the institute have tied up with the Indian Institute of Science for this kind of a work, and we are shortly coming out with a project funded by one of the American universities, and we are going ahead with them. Wish and hope that this would really help us in boosting the export market along with the canopy architecture. If we can design for many of the fruit crops, I think this is one area wherein we need to pay more attention. These are the crops of the future. I think we have to pay more attention to some of these. In fact, there was an article in Moringa. We need to go into the flowers of the Moringa to assess it. We are in the process of assessing it. I think we need more products from some of these fruits, so that we can always tell the farmer that he can back up on the market that is there. Jackfruit, yes, this is one of the most important fruits today. Lot of companies has come from in the Western Ghats, starting from Kerala to probably from here to Kerala to Maharashtra. Lot of companies have come out. Now, one of the most important aspects which other countries to an extent have started is the waste, fruit waste. Probably we need to look into it, and recently our institute has come out with 3 products in jackfruit. One is the jackfruit, the seed powder, using seed powder and mushroom powder. We have come out with jackfruit chocolate. It is called as Jackole. One industrialist has already purchased the technology. In the future, probably we will have jackfruit chocolates. Then we have jackfruit cookies, that also has been picked up. We have jackfruit juice, which can be preserved for about 6 months without any preservative. So these are the 3 technologies which has come out. Why I am saying this, whichever you feel as waste can be a source for making money. So probably we need to look into, these are all the researchable aspects which we need to look into. Even for pigmentation, we have now identified many of the fruit crops which can really substitute as natural pigments. Now, future work. I have always felt that, as I told you, traditional knowledge should be blended with scientific development of varieties. In fact, selection of parents. In the past decades, if you see closely the breeding program, both in vegetables, in fruits, in many other crops, you see that the selection of parents itself has not happened properly. If it has to happen properly, and we always complain that the hybrids, you might see in any place, people have the same opinion. Hybrids are not good for health. Why it has happened is because our selection of parents itself is wrong. So what we need to do is that every institute, every university has to profile, biochemical profiling of the germplasm, what they have got should be done at the first level. Once we do that, then selection of parents becomes easy. We have to move away from yield to trait specific. Supposing we have recently come out with 2 varieties in leafy vegetables, which are multi-cut amaranth varieties, which have low oxalate content. Generally, those are the persons who are available for kidney stone formation. Doctors advise them not to eat the leafy vegetables. So we have come out with 2 varieties. which have low oxalate content. So these people also can eat that, and it's a good source of iron. I think these are some of the that we have to have biochemical profiling, large scale education of growers. Now that PPB-FRA Act is in place, we need to educate the farmers, and then integrated technology dissemination models will have to develop. Thank you.
So on behalf of everyone assembled here, I thank Dr. Yamal Dinesh. I think you all people know that the standard encyclopedia by Bailey. How many people, I mean students, you have referred it? Okay, I think within 1 hour lecture, he is compiled all the horticulture, and I think whatever he presented, he has almost even 30-40 MSc thesis. They can take input from this, and so many PhDs. There are a lot of article titles are the problems which he posed. I think he has narrated the entire scenario of horticulture, what is present, what is required in future. So now I think all the students, you can post the questions and get your clarification from Dr. Dinesh. Thank you.
Seed more than 100 crops. So what will be the reason?
No, but see, these are all averages. To some extent, you have to believe statistics. I don't know actually whether which sample they have selected, how the average was worked out. These are, I always get a doubt like you. But unfortunately, when we do presentation, we have to rely on some statistical figures. So I have relied on that, saying that now earlier it was 389, now we consume about 549 or something like that. There are places where it, no, but one thing, if you go to many of the places today in India, if you compare about 2 years back or 5 years back and today, you find that there are a lot of vegetable and fruit market sales points. The very fact no salesperson will do the sales of a product if there is no demand for them, isn't it? See, why I try to put up a stall is because I need to sell it. If it is not sold, I close my shop after 2 days. So this has happened over the number of years. Every major city has got such a beautiful plethora of stalls selling vegetables and fruit. That goes to show that consumption is on the increase. No, that the basic emphasis of cyan is for quality, isn't it? See, 13-1 cannot replace your Neelam or Alfonso or Dasheli or Langa or Chausa or Raspuri or Himam Pasand, isn't it? So cyan variety, we have to compare it with the fruit quality. So 13-1 and the root stock is okay. But cyan, I don't see any future for 13-1. It is meant for abiotic stress. Root stock is meant for abiotic stress. So if it had got extraordinary good quality of cyan, fruit quality, probably we could have used, but it doesn't have. Actually, the genetics of polymerani says that polymerani varieties, polymerani seedlings, they vary with the region. I think we need to raise more root stock. That is the only way out, because we don't have any tissue culture propagation here. If you are taking it as cyan, then again for the source of the mother plant, you will not get taproot system in the root stock. So you need to raise it as a seedling root. In fact, there is also another school of thoughts now. We have been identifying the polymeric root stock by the vigor of the new cellular seedling. In the case of mango, it is reverse, where zygotic seedling will be very vigorous and the new cellular seedlings will not be that vigorous. But of late, there is a contentious issue that genetically there are also chances that this zygotic seedlings sometimes they behave like new cellular seedlings. So we are trying to develop markers for identifying the new cellular and zygotic seedlings.
How it is possible, sir? Example, Malgova variety
Malgo has always been termed as a monoembryonic variety only. See, there are as monoembryonic in certain cases. For example, the North Indian polyembryonic varieties, when they are brought down to south, and when we grow them, there are chances that they give out only one seedling instead of many seedlings. There is always a very strong genotype and environment interaction in the polyembryonic variety. So the G to E interaction makes them change their genetics a bit and they become monoembryonic varieties. This has happened world over. Those of the varieties which were introduced in Israel as polyembryonic varieties have not remained as polyembryonic under Israeli conditions. Likewise in Australia also, those of the polyembryonic varieties which we say as polyembryonic are not polyembryonic there. So this is a kind of a G into E interaction which happens, which makes the monoembryonics do not turn into polyembryonic, but polyembryonic they turn into monoembryonic.
Agroforestry.
Well, directly you can think of mango, but again it depends on the place where they are growing. We have been advocating a silvi horticultural system, forestry system. We have been advocating mango, drumstick, amla, so many varieties, guava. All these have been advocated, jamu. All these crops we have been advocating. But we need to work it out depending on the region where exactly it is getting practiced.
We always say that it is the wastage is 20 to 30% or 40%. Why in India the either policymaker or researcher not making any headway to reduce the loss?
Now it has come down to about, I am told, to about 14%. The EPIDA had given us a project for working out the food chain for mango export to Gulf countries. We have successfully demonstrated that the mango can be exported through the food chain through shipping, and you can bring down the post-harvest loss to about 5%. That is already in place, and EPIDA has taken our recommendation. It has to be worked out for many things. The main problem in India is that we don't do any pre-cooling. Pre-cooling is a must for slowing down the respiration rate of any fruit. Once that happens, naturally the shelf life gets increased. That is one thing. Second thing is, in many of our breeding programs, we have never concentrated on shelf life. All through we have been only concentrating on yield and yield error. This now has changed. Thankfully it has changed. In the past 5 to 6 years in many of the breeding programs, what we see is that, that is why many of the countries which are having only very few diversity, for example, Australia has got only Kensington Pride mango, only one variety. Philippines has got only Carabao, which are very, very inferior to our Indian mango varieties. But the fact is that shelf life is good. So we need to concentrate on the shelf life. Our handling must improve. Already now the gap is in place. And now our pre-harvest management. In fact, all through we have been stressing on post-harvest management practices. Now we have come to a conclusion that it is the pre-harvest cultivation practices which definitely can contribute to about 50% of the post-harvest life of the fruits, vegetable or whatever it is. So with that kind of intervention of gap, I think we should be able to do well in the future.
Supplemental question. Now mango started, flowering started. So another 1 or 2 months we are going to get the mango fruits in the market. So there is a practice of using the calcium carbide for ripening. So this is, I know, everybody knows that it is very harmful and deadly. But still the traders and the farmers are using it. So how best as a scientist we can, make alternative for this?
Sir, we have already made an alternative. In fact, last year, we have designed a low-cost ripening chamber. This low-cost ripening chamber, it starts from 10 kgs to 2 kgs from household, and you can increase it up to 10 tons. This we have already demonstrated. I think our developmental agencies will have to be more proactive to implement whatever researcher does. If that can happen, I think we should be in a position to do it. It is not a very big thing, and there are people, I think it's already banned in many of the states, calcium carbide. It's banned. They are using it. I think law enforcing has always been a problem in our country. Be it traffic or be it mango, it has always been a problem. Yes, ma'am. We have about 220 varieties collected. You can contact Dr. Sankaran and under an MTA, which is a must for now, that has been material transfer agreement between the university and institute. We can give any material. Our institute is open. You can take any material, whichever genotype you want for research or whatever it is, under MTA. Because MTA has been stressed by NBPJ, National Bureau of Plant Genetic Resources. Under that, we are open to give materials. Absolutely no problem. We can give, there is no problem. Absolutely, you list out the varieties, take it from Dr. Shankaran, list out the varieties and write to us. Under MTA, we will supply this iron.
Good morning, sir. We are the quarantine rules, certain quarantine rules. Because of quarantine practices, we likely got the export. We lost the export market in foreign countries. So what we can do for quarantine rules, and also our India farmers are, most of the farmers are small farmers. Organizing the farmers are very difficult. So what we can do to stop the quarantine practices?
No, Indian government is emphasizing on farmers producer organizations. Already, I don't know about Tamil Nadu. In Karnataka, we have about 200 farmer producer organizations. I think in India about 600 are there. I am not very sure what is the total number. So there is an overemphasis of farmer producer organization. Farmer producer organizations are a success in Maharashtra and in Gujarat. It has not been a big success in other parts, but slowly we are more moving towards that. Second thing is, we have sent a wrong message earlier, probably. Or farmers have understood it wrongly, I don't know. We cannot grow mangoes exclusively for export. No. Our internal market is a huge market. So when we are producing, we have to adopt good agricultural practices for producing good quality mangoes. Now today, if you produce good quality mangoes, lot of malls have come up, cities are there. There is no dearth for market. Market is there. But your production practices has to be pakka. For that to happen, we need to adopt good agricultural practices, which is already in place. So use of less pesticides, timely use of sprays. Not that we straight away go into organic farming. We can go to that in certain crops. Across the crops we cannot apply. Wherever we can go for the organic production, we can do it. But it has to be done after improving the soil fertility to a great extent. Quarantine has always been a problem. We have to be very, very careful with quarantine.
Any robotic research in IIHR, sir?
With regard to what?
Or we put in the slide grading, sorting.
We have developed machinery for detopping, grading in the case of onion. It can also be adopted for guava and mango. Same thing can be adopted.
Thank you.
With regard to from this year onwards, rootstock breeding has been emphasized one of the key areas by Indian Council of Agricultural Research to be taken up in major fruit crops as well as in vegetable crops. Rootstock breeding. We have already started rootstock breeding. We wish that in probably in a couple of years down the line, we should be in a position to come out with very good rootstocks. Both in mango, citrus already there is work going on. I think this is what I would request the university authorities, if you can give problems to the students on the mutation breeding in mango, especially in the polymelanic varieties. I am sure down the line in 2 to 3 years time, we can come out with very good rootstocks. Especially those of the rootstocks which have dwarfing levels. Because this being a heterozygous character, the chances of mutation succeeding is very high. See, what happens is fruit is, the main problem using fruit is always there are very few stable mutants, first thing. Second thing, in the process of mutation, intrasomatic selection happens and many of them turn into chimeras. They will not be stable mutants. And once they become chimeras, down the line in 1 year or 30 days, 60 days, they revert back to the original genetic makeup. That is the problem with regard to shoots. Because we have to take the buds and then again graft it, and it takes about 3 generations. Although there are very few reports with regard to vegetative propagated material, it is better to take seeds. Go also seeds only. We have come out with lot of mutant progenies now. About 10,000 progenies we have come out with mutant progenies. We should hope that something will come out of it.
And the Murugesh Professor Horticulture regarding on citrus productivity is low, so the market is we got farmers got nominal price. But of late the citrus is in Tamil Nadu is grown moreover most of the places both plains and hills. So now the yield is mostly quite with the winter. So what is the impact of this winter and yield production? The prices gone low, too low. So even the input cost is higher. What we are selling in the market. So the question is, how long we can store? Store this for the cold storage. Second is whether making getting more price anyways are they?
No, price I don't know, because only post-harvest processing is only the answer. But with regard to citrus, we are not working on citrus at all. Probably this question is ideal to be posed to Dr. Ladania from National Citrus Center, Directorate of Citrus Research Institute at Nagpur.
Okay, thank you.
Sir, I think only one question.
About the nutraceutical potential, how to exploit it, and is there any nutraceutical potential in vegetable crops?
So there are lot of nutraceutical potential is there, especially in tomato it is there. We have for crossing for the first time in India we have released 2 varieties last year. One is Akka Apeksha and Akka Vishesh. These 2 varieties are stock-free varieties with high TSS and lycopene content. We have released Akka Kiran with high lycopene content of about 7 to 8 milligram per 100 gram in guava. In vegetables, amaranthus we are working on it, and our substation is Bhubaneswar. It is concentrating on survey collection and selection of indigenous varieties of vegetables. The only way to look at the nutraceutical value is through biochemical profiling. There is no other way. That's why I said selection of parents, selection of varieties has to happen only through biochemical profiling of the varieties.
And the subsequent. So another important thing is Indian Institute of Horticulture Research Bangalore is also offering MSc in Food Science, Vegetable, Floriculture. Three. They are offering MSc course. This is the HC&RI is a nodal institute. The students are recruited there. They are sending the student to IHR Bangalore for their MSc and PhD studies. So this is the information. So you can make use of the facilities available at IHR Bangalore.
In fact, I would also request if TNU feels that we have to have an MOU wherein the student can undergo coursework here, and if they want to work at IHR, they are most welcome. And only as per the ICR rules, the only thing is the chairman has to be from IHR. That's all. Okay. We are open to it. If anybody wants to work at IHR, you are most welcome.
Yeah, thank you, sir. So already we have, one of my students, he worked in the DOGR, Directorate of Onion and Garlic, on Ms. Adiyaman, and another student, he has done the thesis at World Vegetable Center, Taiwan. So likewise, the IHR Bangalore has tremendous facilities and wonderful scientists. So the students you can think of planning your research at the IHR. TNIU and always it's promoting the collaborative research either for MSc level or PhD level. Of course, our PhD is also here. He can facilitate the things.
Yeah, we can have an MOU. and then we can do it. We are having with about 10 universities in India now, right from Jabalpur to Damanpur we have. So probably if you want to enter into an MOU, you can do it. Yeah. Yeah, no problem. You can engage. Yeah. Thank you.
Dr. M.R. Dinesh, Director of IIHR. Now, I would like to call Dr. M.R. Dinesh, Director of IIHR, to present the Endowment Lecture booklet on recent trends in horticulture to Dean SPGS, Dr. J.S. Kennedy. Next, I call upon Dr. J.S. Kennedy, Dean SPGS, to present a newsletter on newly released Manina Tamarind variety PKM2 by Department of Fruit Science, HC&RI Periyakulam, to Dr. J. Rajanam, Professor and Head of Department of Fruit Science. Thank you, sir.
Now it's time to present the memento. Now I request our beloved Dean, Dr. T. Arumulam, to present the memento to Dr. M.R. Dinesh, Director of IIHR. Thank you. Next, I would like to call upon Dr. C. Muttaya, Professor and Head, Department of Plant Protection, to present the memento to Dr. J.S. Kennedy, Dean SPGS. Thank you so much, sir.
Now, I request Dr. C. Muttaya, Professor and Head, Department of Plant Protection and PG College.
Director Dr. M.R. Dinesh, IIHR Bangalore, respected Dean School of Postgraduate Studies, DLA Bangalore, Professor and Head, the Department of Fruit Science, other Professor and Heads, faculty members, and my dear student friends, good afternoon to one and all. So it's a time to wrap up the things. So at the outset, I would like to thank our team for his instrumental effort to have this endowment lecture at our Periyakulam campus, and he was very keen enough to have this lecture for the last 2 months, and it has been very successfully done here. And next, I would like to give a thanks to the Director IIHR Bangalore for his thought-provocative and very extensive lecture, actually to the front A to Z about horticulture he has told for the students. So it will be very much useful to the student friends, particularly about the different research areas as our Dean was mentioned. And also I would like to thank our Dean SPGS at Coimbatore, who has supported to have this endowment lecture at Periyakulam campus. Also I would like to thank Professor in the Department of Food Science for his efforts to bring out this leaflet and also the support of this program. Also I would like to thank the Professor in the Department of Vegetable Sciences. He was very much kind enough to have this booklet. All the days he has gone to Coimbatore and with all the pains he has taken up. But also I would like to thank the Professor in the Department of Horticulture for their efforts and to have this function here. Also I would like to thank the other faculty members and the student friends be presently here, and also the computer science department for having this program to telecast in a live manner. So I would like to thank all the students, faculty members, staff members, and all the people who have this endowment lectures in a successful way. Thank you very much.